Hello again, YouTube. This is The Truth Man. The channel is the No Matrix, No Simping, All Subjects channel. And I'm going to give some parenting tips on this video that can relate to what we're seeing in 2023. So, we in our 40s and late 30s and stuff like that, we want to believe that our kids are growing up in the same world as we did. Some of us. I already know the truth. They're not. And you have to adjust the way you parent your kids if you want your kids to be successful in life and you want your kids to stay out of trouble. Because that's the main thing with kids growing up today is for them, trouble is fun. It was fun for us too, but it was different back then. Like it was, the things we did are different from the things that they do now. Like we barely stole cars. Like even as teenagers, I only can recall like 1 or 2 stolen cars. And that was the first time I drove. I said, let me drive. So I was driving it. And we did other things though, but you gotta understand the world that your kids are growing up in, and you gotta adjust as such. Me personally, in this Midwest in general, all over the country, but in the Midwest in general, I wouldn't advise putting your kids in public school unless it's suburban public. Where with kids that grew up in 2-parent households, had money, was middle class or higher, or private. The number one preference I would say is if you can homeschool your kid. Because see, you have to build up in your kids a resilience, and you have to build up in your kids not to need other people. And the way you do that, man, have that kid some siblings if you can, and teach them coming up to be close to your siblings. Like my sons are close. They had their fights when they were younger, but they close because that's how we raised them. That your brothers and your sisters are more important than these other people. And I even tell my sons that, like, when you get married and stuff, make sure you marry somebody to get along with your siblings. Because your siblings should be your best friends. If they not, something went wrong along the way. Those should be the close, and you should get a pet. Get a dog. Get a dog so your kid can experience love and companionship and make them close to their siblings. That's kind of, if you gonna have one kid, you shouldn't have no kid. I can see if something go wrong, like after the fact or whatever. But if you gonna have one kid, then you probably shouldn't have any. So, what am I saying in this? You be there for your kids. Yeah, you gotta work, you gotta make the money, you gotta pay the bills, but you should always make some time. I don't care if it's 10 minutes where you focusing your attention on your kids, because they're gonna remember it all. Play video games with them. Play board games with them. One mistake that people make, you be trying to hang around your siblings more than your kids. Like when you get older, yeah, you should be around your siblings, but you should be around your kids too. And then another mistake that people make is they be trying to hang with them friends and just throwing their kids to this person, throwing their kids to that person. You got to establish yourself with your kids. You got to make sure you know what's going on with your kids. Grow them up not to raise them not to need people. Like, let them be by themselves sometimes. Make them be by themselves. When they tell you, I'm bored, correct them. Because that boredom, if they don't realize and understand how, like I taught my son, you got to have hobbies. I'm getting an echo. You got to have hobbies, so on and so forth. That's most of the people that's experiencing that loneliness and that depression is because they don't got enough hobbies. Man, you should have things that you have fun doing by yourself as kids and as adults. You should be able to be at school with no friends or be at school by yourself. See, it's easy for me because even though I had a lot of associates and a lot of friends, I always liked being by myself. And I learned as a child how to entertain myself, how to use my imagination. I had whole wrestling leagues, writing down the scripts, basketball. I had video games. And then I went outside. I had my life outside with the other kids. But I didn't base my life on other kids. Even in college. Like, I was going to eat by myself sometime. Like, if I couldn't find my college buddies, I'd go right in there by myself, and it was perfectly fine. You should be able to go to the movies by yourself as an adult and as a kid. Like, don't let other kids tease you in any way. Teach and parents, teach your kids not to pay attention to what people say like that. And if they trying to gang up on your kids, put your kids in a different school. What, man, stay there and be a man. Nah, how you gonna be a man with 6 dudes trying to jump you? Stay there and be a man. That's dumb. Get him out of there. Homeschool him, private school him. See, one of the biggest mistakes I made in my life in terms of finances is every decision I made, I should have been putting my kids as number one. Like, I was trying to preach and stuff. Didn't get me nowhere. All people wanted to do is argue, debate stuff they don't know about. And I wasted a lot of time. I mean, preaching, it's a way to do it. And then I wish the Most High would have showed me back then what he showed me recently about evangelism and stuff like that. It could have changed everything. Maybe I just wasn't ready to hear it. You got to spend time with your kids. Throw the football with them. And don't, if they don't like sports, they don't like sports. Figure out what they like and help them become the best at that. If they want to be a chef, take them in the yard. If you know how to cook, show them what to do. Everybody ain't going to play sports and everybody ain't going to make it in sports. You got people like me out there that had what it took. It just was this missing or that missing. With me, I was too quick-tempered. So that made me violent on the field. For one, I was out, like when I was in high school, I was smaller. And so when I was trying to hit people sometimes, I was getting hurt. Shoulder, ankle. But when I got bigger, I wanted to make up for all that time I could have been doing what I was doing in high school. You know, but this is missing, that's missing. You don't always make it. I was too thirsty for women, so I wasn't putting the time in that it took to make it to the league, to the NFL. But find out what your kids like and work towards that, what their passions are, and they somewhat good at it. Make them great at it. So if, let's say his passion is writing. Go to the library, buy him some books. Look, read that. We're going to cultivate your writing abilities. Kids will remember that. My son's got so many abilities, it's hard to pinpoint. And they grown now, but we probably gonna have to sit down and figure out all of this. Like, they be knowing how to do a lot of stuff, and I be looking like, should I go here with them? Should I go there with them? Should I, you know. When they was younger, we just focused on raising them. They turned out both of them good guys. But now I try to teach them, don't be letting these women punk you. They're not that important. So I got younger daughters, and I'm gonna do the same thing with them. I teach them, do your own thing. Don't be needing these people. And I'm going to show you why. Have y'all been paying attention to the news? All the stuff that these people's so-called friends are doing to them, torturing them. These people are too violent, too impulsive for you to just let your kids just go with them. All them little sleepovers, you better be careful with your daughters. Yeah, your daughter might want to go, but she don't know. What if you letting her go and they lying about their parents out of town, and they got dudes over there, and your daughter don't want to have sex with them? What they gonna do, beat her up? You got it. You listen. Your kids don't need friends. This 2023. They need ends. They need money. They need to believe in themselves. They need self-confidence. They need self-assurance, self-esteem. Lead them that way. Don't lead them towards people. I'm telling you, all you gotta do, look what just happened with Target. These people's minds are in the wrong place. You make sure yours is in the right place, and then make sure your kids. I know a guy, he started getting in trouble when I was working back at DT. But his parents, everybody was talking about how good his parents were. And when they used to visit him, it seemed like it. They made one mistake, though. Even though they lived in a good area, even though they were good parents, they let him hang around the wrong kids. He grew up with the wrong dudes. And even when I look at the site right now, just to see if these guys still getting in trouble, because that's what I do. Those guys he used to hang with still get in trouble. And he's still getting in trouble. He in prison right now. That's that public school stuff, man. It can happen in private school. Like, I'm going to tell you, it's a group of white guys over here. They trouble. Like, I can feel a vibe. They trouble. It's just they got good parents, so it's kind of shielding them. But they impulsive. They bound to do something. I know they are. You could just sense it. Because just because you live in the suburbs and you white, that don't mean your kids ain't got the same influences. They privy to the same music, so on and so forth. So you still got to follow that same approach. Teach your kids not to need people. Teach your kids to say no to trouble and say no to drugs. What's drugs gonna do? You get high that first time, you ain't gonna never get high like that again. And even though I ain't never been a drug user, I used to smoke weed. I know because I seen the actions and the reactions of it. There's a bunch of people trying to get high like they did at first. And they never will. They just wasting their life, wasting their body. So you teach your kids to say no to drugs. And then if they drink, that they do it in moderation and not when they got to drive. The driver should barely be drinking. Because it's not too often that the driver is going to be able to drive properly. I only saw it one time in my life. That was one of my buddies, man. We used to take him back. And he just driving regular. Like, man. I used to look at him like he drive better than me when he done had a couple. But that's not the norm. So it shouldn't be tried. Don't drink and drive. If you want to drink, have them come to you, have a get together at your house where you don't got to go nowhere, and watch the driver and make sure whoever drove them there ain't drinking too much. We got to look like Henry Ruggs, who used to play for the Raiders. His friends should have looked out for him better than that. See, people be yes men when they know you got money. Just like Ja Morant, his friends should be looking out for him more. And it's weird. Ja Morant, you can't blame his parents for that. Like, it seemed like his parents raised him good. But you gotta make, like, the sheltering, like, you don't wanna, like, never have him dealing with nobody else. You just want to guard over it. You want to make sure you done instilled the right things in them before you allow them to do this and that. And be careful with them sleepovers with these girls. Because all they gonna do is try to have little guys over there. Maybe you should do it at your house. Say, why you gotta do it at his house? Man, I don't trust him. It should be done at the house where the parents is gonna be there. And the dad, you gotta see, that's another thing with these dads. These dudes be looking at these underage girls, man. That's another thing you gotta be careful with when you start letting your daughters spend a night at their friend's house. Now you supposed to be looking at women. 15-year-old. Whoa, she's sprawling. You shouldn't even know. Look at no 15-year-old, no 14. Man, please. 20 and up. When they 20, they not a teenager no more. So, I just wanted to talk about that. Like, instill self-reliance in your kids. And get them a dog. Get them a dog. Let them play with the dog. The dog be happy to see him. If the dog don't treat your kids right, the dog gotta go. Because that's his job. Or her. Get a dog. Let that dog show them affection, I would say, like I said, don't have one kid unless you're going to have two. And you had that one, try to have the other one like close to that one. So if you married and you be like, okay, you had that one, you should probably try to have the other one no later than 2 years. My sons is 20, 24, and 21. My younger son his birthday comes before his brother, like a few weeks before his brothers. So they close in age. That's how it should be. We did that on purpose. Everybody was people be hating. They wanted us to have a girl. And so our whole plan was to have another boy, and that's what we wanted. We wanted 2 boys. Then they was mad because when we found out we slapping 5 and all type of stuff in front of them, and they was looking mad because people be hating. They wanted me to have a girl with my son. I already had the plan to have daughters. I just wanted my first 2 kids to be boys. And it worked out perfect because I had twin daughters. Like, done. So, and even though my daughters are much younger, they like what? 9 years younger than my young son. That's how I was with my sister. I'd still deal with my sister. 9 years younger. That's when they grow up. It's like as they growing up, yeah, they be teasing each other and stuff. But as they grow up, they'll have those bonds. They'll have those relationships. And teach your kids not to live. All that living in different towns from your siblings, I don't think that's a good idea. Unless you got siblings that want to live somewhere that's trash. I think you should try, if you close to your sisters and brothers, you should try to live where they live. And like, for instance, let's say you and you close to your sisters and brother. One of them, they move to another state. You don't like the state you in, but y'all still talk to each other. Why not move where they at? What, you think y'all gonna fall out? Hopefully they not that petty. But when you start trying to be friends with these people, beware. They'll set you up. They violent. They'll do impulsively violent things. Look what happened to Shanquella. That's what's going on right now. And that'll happen. Remember Kanisha, the Kanisha girl? Happened with her too. She just playing, trying to have fun. Somebody hitting her. She went from dancing to covering up. Forget that friend stuff, man. If it happened, it happened. If it don't, it don't. It's just like other relationship. Friendship, relationship. For you to sell, y'all got to be on the same ship. So, even when you older, don't try to be friends with people you just too different. Y'all too different. Try to be friends with people that y'all like the same things. Y'all think along the same lines. Cause you'll be an entrepreneur-minded person, and you'll be trying to be friends with a job working dude, and they'll be discouraging your business idea. Man, don't you think you should just have a job? And that's why I'm telling you, it still applies to you, but you gotta instill the right things in your kids. This is The Truth Man. The channel is the No Matrix, No Simping, All Subjects channel.